Hey, what's going on, everybody? Andrew here, back for our build review show. It is Tuesday, October 15th of 2024. And on this show, I bring users' builds up live on stream, giving them personalized feedback and advice about things I think that they can do differently in their builds to help them build better lineups and have higher post-contest sim ROIs and hopefully end up winning more money. So that's what the goal of this show is here. If you ever want to get signed up, drop your DK username in the office hours channel in our Discord server. Let me know what sport and site and slate you want reviewed, and I will add you to the queue for the next show. So appreciate you guys tuning in. We do have 2 people signed up for today's show, and we are going to jump right in and start reviewing some lineups. So first one today is going to be JB. And let's get him up on the screen. So we have their build here. So we're going to start in the contest tab as always. And this looks pretty solid. So JB is somebody we've been working on their contest selection. And I'm pretty happy with, some of the updates here, right? Starting from the ground up. I would say start even lower than, the 50-cent mini max. If you have access to this, you have access to, there's like one large diamond time like every day or for most of these showdowns. There's a large quarter jukebox as well, so I would get those lineups in and get some action there. Do like throwing in the single entry here, so that's good. So overall contest selection much better, so good job. All right, let's look at the results of one of these. I'm going to choose, let's see if we can get this 150 max to load. It is a big contest. Might have to just give it a little bit, but having 150 lineups to review is definitely going to be better, especially if you're going from like playing one lineup to many lineups. Good to get some analysis on across a lot of lineups here. So we got JB entered 150 lineups. Sort by sim ROI. All right, so this is pretty interesting. So let's do average dupes less than 140. Not equals 140, less than 140. This is just to remove dupe trains. If somebody entered 150 lineups, somebody entered the same lineup 150 times is kind of what you want to avoid there. So it looks like the highest sim ROIs somewhere in like the 20 to 30% range here. Now, JB is negative 66% sim ROI. We'll figure out why that is. It looks like they're trying to play an extremely unique set of lineups. We see their average salary is down at 45,000. And we see that their average dupes is 103 uniques. I think what's happening here is they are just sacrificing too much projected score to play this unique set. So you can definitely do this, right? But if you're gonna take this approach, you need to balance this, right? It's about balancing uniqueness with win probability, right? Like you could play a unique set of lineups, but they might be unique because they're just so unlikely to win, right? And I think that's a little bit of what's going on here. So we'll figure out what they did and how we can improve and iterate on it from there. I want to see if we could find somebody even remotely close to this number of lineups or this kind of approach to the slate. And I don't really see anybody with nearly as many uniques as JB did. So it just seems they were just a little over aggressive, which is okay. All right, so nobody even like remotely close to 100 unique lineups. But that's fine. So I think we've gotten all we need out of this. So let's jump into the build. Okay, so max salary 49,000, minimum salary 0. We've seen this be an okay strategy with other users who have graded out well. So I think this is fine. I don't have a problem with that. See what filters they used. Okay, it looks like they were just looking at something with Breece Hall. We'll just turn that off. So effectively no filters used. They did use a geo-mean rule. Now, I think that this is probably the problem. This rule is just too aggressive. I don't know how they landed on 15 or what contest they used to do that. But basically what I would do is I would come into my biggest contest, right? So probably like the mini max here, 237,000 entries. And then I would go and look at first place and see what the prize is. 10% to first, so prize is like 10K. Now, maybe you're okay winning like, I don't know, 1,000, right? So then you'd probably want to do like a 10-way chop or something like that. Okay. So then we come to our calculator. We do 10 divided by 237,812, which is the entries, to the power of 1 divided by 6 equals 18.6, right? So this number is even a little bit bigger than the number that they settled on at 15. Now, I'm not sure how they got to 15. You know, maybe it'd be like 5. Five dupes is 16.6. Two dupes is like 5. So somewhere around 5. You know, they did this formula. They got close to this number 5. I think what we've learned is that the number that they used is just too aggressive. And I would probably go with a higher number. Now, to be honest, I'm not even sure 18.6 is a good number. You know, but you might have to like trial and error it a little bit, right? So what I would probably recommend here, and this is why we like going with playing the lower stakes first, is because you could probably come in here and just look at these contests. Let's look. All right, so there's a couple 20 maxes here. So there's the dime time. There was a small play action. There was the $1.20 max, the quarter jukebox. There's the $2.20 max. So probably somewhere between the quarter jukebox and the dime package, I would start trying different geo-mean values. And so it gets a little hard when you're on the starter package because you got to do this as a rule. You can't really see how many lineups you're filtering at the end. But if you're using this as a rule, two things I would be doing. One is I would definitely have a aggregate metric for projection. And then the second thing I would do is I would be really, really aggressive. This is kind of weird. So JB's name in Discord is white, and usually that indicates that you're on the starter plan. But they have 5,000 lineups. Unless something's not right here. So I'm not 100% sure. It looks like they used ROI. Okay, so I'm gonna back up here. I was under the impression JB was on the starter plan. Now, if you are on the starter plan, you're watching this, you're trying to get better, and you need to use geo-mean as a rule, I would be very, very aggressive with a projection filter. So what I would be doing is probably filtering out lineups whose projection is like, I'd probably be filtering like 25% of my pool out just by projection if I'm using a geo-mean rule. And we could see the impact that this just had, where if I turn this filter off, the average projection is 71.66. When I turn it on, it's 73.76. So filtering out the bottom 20% of my pool gives me an additional 2 points in average projection for my lineup sets. Now, I think that's actually really, really important if you're using a rule. Now, if you have access to custom metrics, which if you have contest sims, you would, I would not be doing a rule. And instead, what I would be doing is setting up a geomean custom metric by going to the sorting metrics, clicking add, coming in here and doing my own product geomean value to calculate the value of each lineup. And then I would be going into my filters and I would be filtering out the bottom 10 to 20% in geomean lineups. So basically you come in here, you go to your custom metric, you say show lineups with my metric less than X. And then this is going to be, your number that you play around with, right? So here, my metric less than 28 didn't filter out anything. So then I would go lower, right? Let's try 25. And it's possible it's just not working. Oh, because you have the rule, right? So everything's less than 15. But basically, this is what I would be doing. I would be setting up this filter and then filtering out lineups slowly until I filter out like 500 to 1,000 lineups and then just leave it at that number, right? So that's another way to do it. But I think that would happen here. The rule was just too aggressive. The minimax salary is okay. But if you have custom metrics, set up a custom metric for geomean, filter out the top 10 to 20 highest geomean lineups and just leave it at that. If you're going to use a rule, the one other thing I would recommend doing is standardizing your ownerships, right? So whoever you're going to use here, and it looks like they were pretty aggressive with their captain pool, which I think it's okay to curate, but seemed a little aggressive. Only 4 captains across this many lineups. Basically, the more lineups you're using, the less you should filter, and the less lineups you have, the more you should filter. So I know JB is somebody who's played, like 1 to 5 lineups in the past. And so going to 192 is a lot different. So I would be a little less aggressive with some of these Xing of players here as a side note. But I forgot what I was talking about before that. Oh, what I would do is I would be standardizing ownerships, right? So say you do have all these players chosen. For the bottom players, I would go and make sure that their ownerships, you basically don't want anybody to have a 0 ownership, and at least put it to a minimum of 1 because it'll help the geomean formula. And then I would do the same thing for the flexes as well, standardize the ownership to 1 so nobody has a 0 ownership because that will affect the geomean value calculation for the lineup. But those are the big things there. So JB, we're glad to see the adjustments in contest selection. You're on the right track. You're using geomean. We just have to change the way you're using it slightly, make some adjustments there. Reconsider being so aggressive with the captain player pool and just continue iterating, continue getting better. So good job. Monday Night Football Showdown contest as well. So let's get press up on the screen. And let's go back to yesterday. So their build's coming up right now. All right, going to start in contest tab as always. All right. So contest selection looks really good. We see a very healthy balance of single entry, 3 max. We see all of this low stakes and still getting a lot of action on this slate, right? So this is good. So very happy with what we're seeing there. Let's go and review their lineups in the mini-max. And we'll let this load. I might have clicked this too early. Try. Oh, no, I don't want to look at the play action. All right. If the play action loads, we'll just look at the play action. So 20 lineups, not 150, but still good lineups to review. It is the biggest contest that they played as far as like prize pool goes. So this is our person here, press, right? Now, they've moved some columns around. So I'm going to reset it to default for me here, just because I know what I'm normally looking at. So let's come in here, line up entries equal to 20, sort by sim ROI. They have a very strong sim ROI set of lineups here, 46%. It's a little harder to filter out people who are entering, trains in 20 maxes just because average dupes can be over 20. So some of these are probably like outliers. I think that this is still a strong sim ROI. Now, what do we see? Their average salary is $48,000, which is a little bit on the lower side. So that's something to take note of. Average dupes 37, no uniques, 1 under 5, 84 sim average score. So these are all things that I'm noting. This is a fairly big contest, 138,000 entries. So all in all, pretty happy with what we're seeing here. And now let's jump into a build. Looks like they used, actually we can't tell. We'll just click through these. Okay, build 1. Build 2. So it looks like build 3 might have been like for some single entries or something like that. One. So I'm almost positive build 3 is for single entries and 3 maxes. So let's go to build 2. Let's put these saved lineups back in. And let's increase this my lineups. So they're using autofill. All right. So we see a lineup filter. See what we got. Salary less than 49.5. So they're filtering out some lineups based on salary, right? In this 10 to 20% range. I think that's fine. Max is 50,000 salary in the settings. Minimum is 0. No filters or rules, using contest ROI. Sort by exposure. How do they get to this? pretty interesting to me how they're not getting to like any of the high owned captains. It's like actually really interesting to me. They're getting to a ton of them in the flex though. But I don't see any projection adjustments. I don't see any other projection sets. I don't see any minimax exposures. They got to a lot of Ray Davis, which is good. He played really well. No rules, no filters, team stacks, game stacks, all of it pretty hands off. So I don't know exactly how, they faded the top projected captains so hard, but they did. And it doesn't look like they axed them, right? They have plenty of pool exposure and no settings in the max exposure column. So whatever led to that, it doesn't seem like it mattered. Their sim ROI was still high. Just pretty interesting to see that kind of off the rip without any further adjustments there. But when we looked at their average salary in the post-contest sim, it was different. So maybe they didn't use build 2, right? Maybe they used build 1. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong place. I'm not 100% sure. Usually I could tell from the contest tab where that source is. It'll say what the build name was that was used, but it didn't say it. It said upload. So unfortunate. But as far as what they're doing, I think what they're doing is fine. And their post-contest sims say it's fine too, right? 47% positive ROI. Salary filter, salary adjustments, no minmax exposures. They were using autofill before I started messing with this. No filters, no rules. So pretty hands-off process. So all in all, I think that this is a good strategy. It seems to be working for them. And I would say continue to do what you're doing. So good job. All right. Those were all of the people who signed up today. If anybody ever wants to get signed up for this show, you like this content, you want me to check out your builds, all you got to do, drop your DK username in the Office Hours channel in our Discord. Let me know what slate and sport you want me to review, and I will add you to the list for the next show. So I'll be back here tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern for Office Hours, back here for this show, 5 p.m. Eastern. So until tomorrow, everybody, take care. Good luck. Thanks. Bye.